feel the Lord in this place. Yeah. I feel the Lord in this place. The glory of the Lord is coming. The glory, the glory, the glory, the glory, the glory of the Lord. The glory of the Lord. Fill this house. The glory of the Lord. Fill this house. 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 So I want to look at James chapter 3. And normally when we look at James chapter 3, we always get this negative connotation. And it's with good reason, because James writes it with a disciplining type slant. But there is some powerful positive things that we can grab from it, as well as the Mark chapter 11 passage that helps us understand how your tongue shapes what you receive. But the James passage gives us insight as to who or what controls your tongue. And we need to examine that and extract from that so that we can begin to speak differently. Technically speaking, most of us don't speak what we believe. And I'll explain that in a minute. But most of us don't speak what we believe. We speak what we heard someone else say. We use the phrases often, they say, or I heard them say. And we use phrases that suggest that what I'm about to say is not what I believe. It's just what I heard someone else say. And that can be very dangerous because it's coming out of your mouth and it's going to shape your world. So you need to speak what you believe and not what you heard someone else say about what they believe, or the dominant voice in your life, because a lot of people do that also. So let's look at James chapter 3, 1 through 12, really, and then we'll jump over to Mark 11. My brethren, now when we taught this on Tuesday, and you know that we're using the book by Caroline Leaf, The Gift in You, and if you don't have that book, I still admonish you to get it. It's a phenomenal view of the brain from a Christian perspective. Caroline Leaf, The Gift in You. When we looked at that, I believe it was chapter 19, talks about the toxic tongue as a gift blocker. And she always talks about gifts and how your gifts are blocked or released by your brain, and how your brain has clusters and pathways and thoughts and emotions, and all of these things are included in the results that we get when we think. And in this particular case, she was dealing with the tongue and how every word begins as a thought rooted in an emotion. And don't take that lightly. Every word began as a thought, watch this, rooted in an emotion. Because there's only two root emotions in the brain. Every thought comes from one of those emotions or the other. And those who know that the two emotions are love and fear. So every thought comes from a root of love and fear, and then every word comes from a thought. So whenever we open our mouth, we are articulating something that was either rooted in love or rooted in fear. Now, we also understand that perfect love casts out fear, and that matches the way the brain functions, because the brain cannot function from both of these emotions at the same time. Either you're in love or you're in fear, but you can't be in both at the same time. The brain is incapable of managing both of those emotions at the same time. So it becomes important for us to recognize that when we open our mouth, we are speaking from an emotional root. An emotional root, which develops into a thought, which develops into words that convey what is working on the inside of us. That's what it says. It lets us know what's working on the inside of us. That's why when we were teaching this class earlier, we spoke on the fact that emotions are tangible. And that's why you can't hide your emotions. They are tangible. They give off the best way to say it is there are indications that come out of you when you're in the emotion of love or in the emotion of fear, and it is recognizable and tangible. So when we open our mouths, normally we're confirming what's inside of us under most cases. And so what's fascinating about the brain is that the brain is subject to injury based on words in the same way the body is subject to injury based on being hit by something. Now, in the brain, we have this area called the cingulate gyrus. It's called the cingulate gyrus. Many of you heard this, what we call a nursery rhyme. Sticks and stones may, but words will never hurt me. Words will never harm me. Tell your neighbor, it's not true. See, the devil set that one up so he could use words all the time to damage people in their neurological process. Now watch this. The cingulate gyrus is the area that is affected if you were to hit or your body was to be hit or injured. The part of your brain that responds is the cingulate gyrus. So if you were to slap someone or hit them with a stick or injure them in any physical way, the cingulate gyrus is activated and registers the injury and the pain. If negative, harmful, toxic words are used against you, the cingulate gyrus is activated as if you were hit with a physical instrument. The same area of the brain responds when injury is inhibited, is imputed upon the body, as well as if negative words are received in the brain. The same area. Now, the damage is real. This is the interesting thing. The damage is real. The person suffers mentally, neurologically. And interestingly enough, the only way that it can be healed is by words that counter the toxic words, or by words that now reshape the same pathways that were injured by the negative words by speaking something positive or something uplifting to that same person. That's the way that area of the brain is healed. Isn't that interesting? So when words, toxic words are left out there and they're not, because words can't be pulled back, they're not healed by counter words or words that go against what was said, that area of the person is inhibited. And watch this, their natural form of functioning from their brain, their gift, is now inhibited and blocked. So you could actually be an adult who went through an adolescent process where someone said something to you about your inability or insufficiency, and unless those words were countered appropriately and that area of the brain was healed, that information remains lodged in the subconscious in clusters that constantly comes up without you thinking about it, hindering you from doing what you should be doing because the information says that you can't. It's a gift blocker. And many people suffer in adulthood from having negative words spoken to them in their childhood.